What gives anyone the right to murder a murderer? If murdering is wrong, then why would society choose to murder criminals? Gandhi once said, "An eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind." Why are so many of us still blind? 32 of the 50 states still use capital punishment. I want to inform you on why the death penalty is morally wrong. First, I'm going to talk about how the death penalty is hypocritical. Next, I'm going to tell you that it's possible an innocent person might be put to death through the death penalty. And lastly, I'm going to talk about how the death penalty is a cruel and unusual punishment. First, I'm going to talk about how the death penalty is hypocritical. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, there have been 1,406 executions since 1976. This is about 36 executions per year on average. The majority of these criminals were executed for committing murder. Why is it okay for the government to murder? The Pew Research Center reports that 55% of U.S. adults favor the death penalty, 37% are against it, and the other 8% are undecided. I have spent multiple hours researching this subject and have interviewed a lawyer who knows a substantial amount of information about the death penalty. A close friend of mine's cousin was murdered by a violent criminal. You may think that the victim's family wanted revenge, but they are against the death penalty. They know that killing the murderer will not bring back their loved one. Next, I'm going to tell you that it's possible an innocent person might be put to death through the death penalty. According to Innocence Project, there have been multiple cases in recent history where death row inmates have been proven innocent through DNA testing. It would be foolish to believe that other innocent people have not already been executed. The Guardian states that 4% of defendants sentenced to die are innocent. And if that's what we are able to determine with recent technology, just imagine how many innocent people have already been put to death. If an innocent person can be convicted and murdered, even if it was just one person, that should be enough motivation to end the death penalty forever. Imagine that you had to pull the trigger, turn the gas, flip the switch, etc. to kill someone. Are you sure that person is guilty? Maybe it's one of the 4%. Could you live with yourself? Lastly, I'm going to talk about how the death penalty is a cruel and unusual punishment. The 8th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. Cruel and unusual punishment is defined as a punishment that is considered unacceptable due to the suffering, pain, or humiliation it inflicts on the person subjected to it. How could lethal injection, electrocution, firing squad, hanging, or gassing not be considered cruel and unusual? During some executions, there have been complications in which death did not go as planned and resulted in tremendous suffering. People often argue that it's cheaper to execute someone than to support them for the rest of their life in prison. However, HG Legal Resources shows it can be almost 10 times cheaper to keep them alive. This is because of the extensive appeals process and the fact that most inmates remain on death row for many years before they are executed. In conclusion, capital punishment is morally wrong. It is hypocritical. We cannot be sure that innocent people aren't being put to death, and it's cruel and unusual punishment, which is forbidden by the U.S. Constitution.